Hello and welcome to Storyboard.
Hansel and Gretel. Many years ago, there was a woodcutter. He lived deep in the forest with his wife. They had two children, Hansel and Gretel. The family did not have much money, but they were happy. One day, there was a terribly cold winter, and Hansel and Gretel's mother became ill and died. In the time, the woodcutter remarried another woman, but she was cruel and selfish. The stepmother was especially cruel to Hansel and Gretel because she believed they were the reason the family was so poor. She wanted the children gone. One day, while the woodcutter was out for cutting wood, the stepmother called Hansel and Gretel. "There is not enough food to make soup for dinner," said the stepmother. "Go into the forest and pick some mushroom to make a mushroom soup. I know where the best mushroom grow." Then she gave them the most confusing directions she could think of. She knew they would never be able to find their way home. Hansel and Gretel were scared. They knew the forest was deep and there is a chance of getting lost too. "Don't worry, I have a plan," whispered Hansel to Gretel. He went to the back of the house and filled his pockets with white pebble from the garden. Then the two children started walking. After every few steps, Hansel dropped a little white pebble on the ground. They walked for hours, but they did not find any mushrooms. "It's almost night time." "I'm scared," said Gretel and crying. "Don't worry, I can find the way home," said Hansel. Hansel waited until the moon was bright. The moonlight made the pebbles glow. They followed the trail of pebbles all the way back home. Their stepmother was furious. She did not expect the children to find their way home. "Little fools, where are the mushrooms?" the stepmother shouted. "Now we have nothing to eat. There will be no dinner for you tonight." Then the children went to bed hungry. The next morning, after the woodcutter left for work, the stepmother woke the children up. "Wake up, you little fools! Today is your father's birthday. I want to make an apple pie for his birthday. Go into the forest and pick some apples. This time I will come too." She gave them a loaf of bread for their lunch and then she hurried them out the house. Hansel cleverly had a plan. He did not eat his bread for lunch. Instead, he tore it in tiny crumbs. After every few steps, he dropped a crumb to mark the path. They followed their stepmother and went deeper into the forest. Finally, they stopped and the stepmother sat down to rest. She pointed to a very dark part of the forest. "The apple tree is over there," she said. The children walked deeper into the forest, but they did not see the apple tree. "Where?" they called. "Just a little further," called the stepmother. Hansel and Gretel walked deeper and deeper, but they did not find any apple tree. "Where?" they called another time. But there was no reply from their stepmother. She was gone. "Oh no, we are lost," said Gretel. "Don't worry," said Hansel. He turned around to find the crumbs, but they were gone. The hungry birds and rabbits had eaten them all. I'm scared and I'm hungry too, said Gretel. Don't worry, everything will be all right, Hansel said, trying to be brave, but he was scared too. That night, the children slept in some soft bushes to stay warm. When they woke up, the sun was shining and there was a sweet, delicious smell in the air. I'm so hungry, said Gretel. I think I smell cookies. Look, said Hansel, pointing a house. It was the strangest house they had ever seen. The wall looked like cookies. The windows looked like they were made of chocolates. Hansel ran to the house and broke off a piece of the wall. This tastes like a cookie, he said. Gretel grabbed a piece of a window and stuffed it in her mouth. This is chocolate. The children could not stop eating. We all stay here forever, Hansel said. They were just about to try a piece of the candy door when it quietly swung open. Hello, said an old woman from behind the door. I have more sweet inside the house. Come in, don't be afraid. The old woman looked kind and friendly, so the two children went inside. But actually, she was an evil witch. The children were trapped. The witch grabbed Hansel by his wrist. You are too thin, she said. I must fatten you up before I eat you. Then she threw Hansel into a cage and locked the door. She turned to Gretel. Foolish girl, you will do the household work, then I will eat you too. Hansel began to cry. Please don't eat me. But Gretel said, don't worry, I have a plan. Then Gretel gave him a twig and said, when the witch will see if you are fat enough to eat, give her this twig instead of your finger. The next morning the witch came and said, Hansel, stick your finger through the cage. I want to see if you are fat enough to eat. Hansel held out the twig. You are still too thin, she complained. Come here, foolish girl, and give your brother more sweet to eat. This continued for an entire week. Finally, the witch got tired of waiting. On the 8th day, she called to Gretel. Come here, foolish girl, light the oven. Today, I am going to eat roasted boy with carrots and gravy. Check if the oven is hot enough to roast your brother. But the clever little Gretel had another plan. She started to cry and said, But I am too stupid. How do I know if the oven is hot enough? Can you show me? The witch shouted, Useless child, I will check the oven myself. The witch bent down to look at the bright orange flames, and quickly Gretel pushed her into the oven and locked the door. That was the end of the witch. Gretel unlocked Hansel's cage. The children found a basket and filled it with cake and cookies and jewels. Then they ran away as fast as they could. Eventually, they heard the sound of someone cutting wood in the distance. It was a woodcutter. The children ran to their father and hugged him. They all were very happy. My sweet children, where were you? Hansel and Gretel told the woodcutter the whole story. When he heard all the story, he was furious. He ordered the stepmother to leave the house. Finally, they gave all the jewels to their father. Thanks to the clever children, the family was never poor and hungry again. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you like it, please give it a big thumbs up and please subscribe this channel too. Thank you.